Hi, Bill Henshaw here, your friendly local constitutional coop from San Francisco, on a long, extended trip to Iowa that I'll be talking more about later. Now, boy, for a Midwest red state, the corruption there is unbelievable. And what we have done in that case is to set a record all the way from the trial court to Des Moines with the governor, the attorney general, the justices of the Iowa Supreme Court. Treason on the record, black and white. That's astounding, but it's occurred. And the good news, as you'll learn when you get my materials, constitutional defense document packets, send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com, is we probably won't even have to file a complaint. And if we do, this is so bad for them, we flat out beat them in a civil rights context. Not what I do and not what you should be doing. That's how bad it is. So as you'll learn, we'll be filing in our own judicial court. And that's a big secret they don't want you to know about. Because at least lawful deserve just sanguineous state citizens have our own courts. Now, I believe that applies to inhabitants of territories too, let alone inhabitants of states. Noting that inhabitants of territories, for crying out loud, have the right to trial by jury according to the course of the common law, and habeas corpus, the non-statutory version. And yet, in the Iowa case, neither of those things was anywhere in sight, and our unopposed writs of habeas corpus were summarily denied in the trial court, aka administrative tribunal, and the federal district court. And in that case, I'm filing a citizen's arrest affidavit, which you'll learn more about later. Send me an email, unincourt@gmail.com, with the office of the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and God, he isn't on the court, and demanding that he order the local U.S. attorney to make the arrest. And that's the power we have. If we can't do that, and they're going to tell us that these clerks and the judge, by the way, in this case too, a Trump appointee for crying out loud, also committed acts of treason, and I've got that in black and white too. Maybe going after him later, that remains to be seen, but if the clerk of court is the one we want, because all of these courts have clerks, and they all have the sworn duty to file our documents, stamp, file, not receive, set hearing dates as needed, and set the process in motion to get us in a judicial court in front of a judicial judge. And wouldn't you know, today there are no such animals, because they all have to be state bar association attorneys, and they have irreconcilable conflicts with all of our rights secured by all 6 articles of the Constitution, pursuant to at least their what I call malignant, malevolent monopoly on the practice of law, as everything we do challenges all of that. And the current justices on the Supreme Court know it now. An exciting window, the first time in 90 years. And we had a chance to make some real progress there. We have made some. And addressing John Roberts and the justices for the moment, I greatly appreciate you're doing what you're doing, but please go faster. We need to know overtly, do we have a constitution and sovereign independent states, or don't we? And that answer is going to settle everything else. I'm convinced that the justices believe we do. And if we have them, game, set, and match, pursuant to that original intent of those racist framers. That's how good a job they did in setting the government up. Wasn't a perfect government, only the best one ever created. We want it back. And we have the power to be able to do that now. And we can go back and make changes and do it right. And that's the big hope for all of us, whether you're Americans, Africans, Asians, doesn't matter. Because you'll all have enforceable rights, not civil rights. on the 14th Amendment that I can prove a cappella off the top of my head not only doesn't exist, it never did. Just the biggest possible loser you can imagine. And that's why these law enforcement thugs, for example, in Akron, Ohio, 8 of them can shoot Jalen Walker in the back 48 times, commit first-degree murder, and not even get indicted for involuntary manslaughter. This has to stop, and the sooner the better. And we get our government back, and that's what will happen. As most of that government, by the way, is going to be on the local level, a lot less expensive, a lot less involved, and we can actually confront, our representatives and be able to speak to them when they're not in session on the local level and make it clear what we expect them to do, and or we'll nominate and elect those who will make changes. We can't come anywhere close to doing it now with everything going on in Washington, D.C., my former hometown, and that means that, if we don't have that power to do that, and there's no trial by jury, no habeas corpus, then there are no elections, and there can't be any. Not the way they're structured now. And without elections, can you say the 4 magic words here? Consent of the governed. It's not there, and it never has been in 140 years. Enough is enough already, and we can do it. Send me an email, youwinnincourt@gmail.com, for more information about what I do and how I do it. And I'll keep you posted on this Iowa case as it moves along here. This being November 1st, not likely anything will happen before the end of the year. But they're in such bad shape, they can't possibly go. And this is where my special expertise comes in. And it's a lot more than memory, people. It's a lot more than that. Thank goodness I have a good one. But I put 40 odd years into this. And what happens is they get me in front of an inflamed jury and maybe an inflamed federal criminal grand jury. I educate them in a big hurry on what the law is, and they're going to understand that I'm there, we're going to make a lot of money, but the real deal for me is to make changes in the way that business gets done, and that affects the jury, their families, and their posterity. A piece of cake. What do they have on the other side? A bunch of goddamn attorneys sitting there in $2,000 designer suits. Doesn't work. That can't happen. And it gets even better or worse, depending on your perspective. If the courts get on the witness stand, they're going to be cross-examined by me, unfiltered by one of their attorneys. That can't happen. And that's what's going to settle the Iowa case quickly, given the record we have in black and white. And I've got other cases across the country, too. I'll be talking more about that later. But it's good to be home in sunny California. It's still close to 70 degrees there in November, crying out loud. So I love the good weather and the way things are going. You should too. And like I said, remember to subscribe, like the videos, tell your friends, get the word out. The sooner we do that, the quicker we get to the promised land. Thank you.